In the scale of the challenges that we face, America needs to be a country that can build great things again and take on huge projects.
I love to get out a map that shows where God put the wind, and that answers most of the questions.
New Mexico's wind is as good as any wind resource in the country. It's absolutely going to turn the state into the biggest exporter of wind energy in the country.
When people understand that renewable, non-polluting, 24-hour-a-day energy resides, they get it. They get the need to get the energy from where it is to where it's needed.
The renewable energy resources in New Mexico far exceed the consumption capability of the state, but other states to the west desperately need access to the energy that New Mexico can produce.
Oftentimes, renewable energy resources are located in remote areas, sometimes hundreds of miles from markets. The only way that you're going to be able to harness those renewable resources that are in remote areas is to actually transport them over high voltage transmission lines.
Transmission takes a long time to get built. This kind of infrastructure is a massive 15, 20-year effort. Billions of dollars to build.
We've had people in our staff that this is their whole career and spent on one job. The size of this infrastructure, the size of this project is going to be transformational.
It's one of the largest projects in the country that's currently underway.
SunZia is an interstate electric transmission project that is intended to bring renewable energy from New Mexico westward to where the customers are that want to buy that renewable energy.
SunZia is regional. SunZia is bigger than just wires on poles. It impacts eventually millions of people.
You know what makes a successful rancher is a good wife and a darn good income from another source. SunZia, well, they come flying in here, said they were going to put in a power line. How will it help me? Well, it'll help my pocketbook.
The ranching industry is one of the fastest dying industries there is. I mean, you're either born into it or marrying into it. And the bills add up. And I mean, with this energy running through a little bit of our land, we can use that money to help us with years like this, with drought, and help paying off the lump sum.
New Mexico is all about multiple use land. If you can use it to transport energy, then do it.
Anytime that there's infrastructure put in New Mexico, be it water lines, gas lines, electric lines, it's progressive. We want something good for our community, so I mean, we're pro New Mexico, so this will help our state, and it does. We're for it.
Working outdoors and with the livestock, it's just a way of life that you grow up and you just enjoy and love being outside. Ranching in New Mexico is a very tough prospect. I mean, it's not very lucrative. You have to create additional revenue sources for the ranches, and wind is one of those. Solar is another. And so, but this area has such great wind. And so the wind developers came in and said, this is a good spot, but without transmission lines, there's no development. Everyone will benefit. The whole community will benefit from SunZia, because if SunZia doesn't get built, then none of the wind farms will get built.
We have the largest wind and solar resources in the country. We ought to be capitalizing on that incredible potential, getting the transmission lines and getting the route. It is economic development. It is rural economic development. It is innovation and high-tech jobs for the future. It is one of those investments that does every single thing you need.
It's relevant to just understand the scale of what's possible in New Mexico, that we can be a major clean power exporter. I think opportunities like this are about creating that heyday in the future and about making the investments in rural New Mexico and really rural America that those places that built this country deserve.
So when we started SunZia, we did an analysis, and that's handed over to the BLM in a right-of-way grant application. And they take that proposed route and they go out to the public, ask for input, and out of that, they start developing alternative routes that has the least environmental impact.
We worked with the Bureau of Land Management and 13 other state and federal agencies and analyzed in great detail all these potential impacts in air and water and the visual impacts and impacts to cultural and tribal resources, artifacts. All of that gets analyzed.
It was great to have a robust analysis, to have over 2,400 miles of alternatives selected, because that gives us confidence that what BLM selected was the best place to put SunZia.
The towers are approximately 135 feet tall from the ground, constructed out of a type of galvanized steel that's dulled so it doesn't reflect sunlight. Looking through the line to a background like hillsides, it's almost invisible.
SunZia recognizes that when we build this transmission line that we will impact habitat and wildlife. We don't question that. But what we look to do is to compensate for that. We look at conservation land being set aside or restoring that conservation land. We look to take species from the drought that have been almost eliminated and look to restore them, increasing the habitat so they reproduce more.
Something that I'm really proud of, that since we got our BLM approval in January 2015, we've had over 11,000 man-hours of environmental scientists out in the field collecting cultural data, collecting biological data, collecting that paleontological data. And we can look at it and we can make sure that we are putting SunZia, whether it's a structure or the substation or construction areas, we need laydown yards, that all of those are sited in the best possible place to have the least environmental impact.
In many ways, SunZia is a pioneer project. What is behind those transmission towers? They're not just metal structures, but really what they're doing is allowing the entire Southwest to have a cleaner, healthier environment.
It's paramount public interest to have clean energy, and this is electricity for the future generations, not just for us today.
As a scientist, I'm not going to say it's going to solve the global warming problem, but it's up to each one of us to try to contribute what we can. This is my way of contributing.